Make it stick, the science of successful learning. We jump in to begin with, as always, into Anki. You got 3 flashcards due today. What are the 5 sections of Chapter 5, Avoid Illusions Knowing? This is one we've been dealing with a lot. The 2 systems of knowing, which we're just about to finish up. Illusions and mental distortions. No. Illusions and memory distortions. The 2 systems of knowing, illusions and memory distortions. I feel like mental models. That doesn't seem right at all. Something, and then some habits and skills for calibrating judgment. Habits and tools for calibrating judgment. Tools and habits for calibrating judgment. Okay, it was mental models. Weird. The 2 systems of knowing, illusions and memory distortions. Mental models, unskilled and unaware of it. Tools and habits for calibrating your judgment. All right, I just had a package delivered anyway. Wrong again. What is the central argument of Make It Stick? Basically, learning is a skill that can be acquired, and that the most effective learning techniques are often counterintuitive. Learning is an acquired skill, and the most effective learning techniques, according to science, are often counterintuitive. Good. What is Chapter 3, Mix Up Your Practice, about in 1 sentence? Spaced, interleaved, and varied practice. These are more effective learning techniques than massed practice. Spacing, interleaving, and variation feel harder but produce stronger, longer lasting learning than easy, fluent mass practice. I would say hard because we forgot to say it feels harder. What are the 5 sections of Chapter 5 of Avoid Illusions of Knowing? The 2 systems of knowing, illusions and memory distortions, mental models, unskilled and unaware of it, and tools and habits for calibrating judgment. Calibrating your judgment, good enough. All right, that's it for today for Anki. Now, what did we learn about yesterday? What did we read about? We read about the 2 systems of knowing. System 1 is automatic. It's reflexive. It is basically intuition. It's below consciousness, basically. It's instant reactions and decisions. This poses a lot of benefits, especially for experts who have trained for thousands of hours of deliberate practice in their field, gained lots of experience, lots of memories. It can lead to very rapid decision-making that is successful and accurate. However, System 1 also leads us to being susceptible to illusions, biases, things of this nature. Very susceptible to that stuff. System 2 is more slow, conscious, deliberate reasoning and analysis. It's known as the controlled system, according to Daniel Kahneman. And this is much more logical and less susceptible to these illusions and biases, but not completely free of it at all, right? Okay, we had the story of the pilot whose 4th engine went out. They didn't follow protocol. They start basically not free falling, but flying towards the ground. They can't tell because they're in clouds. Basically, they think, the instruments are malfunctioning, and they trust their feeling vestibular system of their balance and orientation in space. Not great to do. Pilots are trained not to trust their feeling, their balance. They're trained to trust their instruments because everybody's susceptible to these perceptual illusions. And it's kind of to illustrate the importance of overcoming biases and how dangerous biases and illusions can become or be. But on top of that as well, it's not just dummies and other people who fall for biases and illusions, even experts fall for them. I think that's pretty good. Even experts are susceptible to biases and illusions. Malcolm Gladwell's Blink book is about the interaction of system 1 and 2, the automatic and the controlled system. So that's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I don't know if he knew about Daniel Kahneman's work and then was writing a book about that, or if they just happened to be talking about the same systems and phenomena. Okay, so lots of power in system 1, but also great susceptibility. Okay, so that's everything. We're going to finish up this last paragraph in this section, the two systems of knowing, and then we're going to come back, recall, summarize the section, and then move on to the next section, illusions and memory distortion. So I'll be back in a sec. All right, guys, so that's that section up and complete. Kind of the phenomenon is known as spatial disorientation in flying, and it's killed many pilots and caused many plane crashes. They kind of listed a few. So they kind of use this spatial disorientation as an example of perceptual illusion and biases that system 1 can fall for, and why it's important to have a disciplined system 2 that kind of oversees the system 1. You don't want to just be running on system 1 all the time without the oversight of system 2, or else you're going to be very susceptible to these biases and illusions. And I kind of also remember that system 2 kind of trains the system 1. System 2 oversees and trains system 1. I'm gonna say and can train. And now I hear a plane flying above, so that's cool timing. So what was the two systems knowing about the section? System 1, the two systems of human basically behavior, decision making. And then automatic and controlled. All right, so the next section is called illusions and memory distortions. What is this section about? This is going to be a long section. So I'll be back in a bit after I've read a decent amount of this, and we'll go from there. Let's talk to you in a sec. All right, guys, quite an interesting section so far in this illusions and memory distortions. So first of all, this section appears to be about these different perceptual illusions, these different faulty narratives, these different memory distortions, these different cognitive biases that we fall susceptible to as humans, and ways to become aware of them, and and measures you can take to kind of limit their downsides or effects on you, negative effects on you. And this first big one is all about narratives. So this is very interesting. Basically, humans, we construct narratives, and we seek to construct narratives to explain things we don't understand, and explain our emotions, and explain our experience. I'm going to add that. Emotions, experience. Experiences and things that we don't understand. So these narratives become fused into memories. They give meaning to ambiguous things, to unknown things, and we don't like to not know. We don't like things to be uncertain. We don't like things to be ambiguous. We want to craft these narratives in order to explain, make sense of them. Unfortunately, we humans are, first of all, before you even got into the narrative section, humans are very good at kind of pushing aside or ignoring inconvenient evidence, and kind of seeing what you want to see. So confirming your own biases, essentially. And so these narratives, right, these stories, basically they're extremely subjective, right? There's some objectiveness to them. There's some cultural influence. There's some, scientific influence. But really, it's all personal experience at the end of the day. And yet, the subject almost never realizes the extent to how subjective their personal narratives are. And they think that these personal narratives and explanations about how the world works, and how to explain their emotions and why things are the way they are, that these are very objective, and that everyone basically thinks this, or they're dumb because they can't see the objective truth. That's a very dangerous thing, and this explains a lot of, I'm just elaborating here. This wasn't mentioned in the book, but I think this explains a lot of political division. This explains a lot of religious division. And just a lot of conflict in humans in general comes from these narratives that we construct that are extremely subjective, yet we all think, oh, what? No, I'm pretty objective. This is how the world works, bud. This is not just me. This is how the world works, bud. It's pretty annoying, but it's just a feature of being a human, I guess. And yeah, I think that's largely everything. All right, one more other thing. So to kind of give an example of this, if you're reading a book or watching a movie, the protagonist, if you're asking someone, or if you're asked to interpret the motivation of the protagonist of the story, why did they do this thing? It's practically impossible. I don't know if it's impossible completely, but it seems impossible to basically assess their motivation without drawing upon your own personal experience, your own personal narratives, your own personal experience, narratives, history. So yep, that's this first section so far on narratives. I don't know if the next section is a new section, or if this is a continuation of the narratives, but that's it for now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.